Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Coturnix Corners Morning Musings. Glad y'all could join us today, and I hope everyone is doing well. As always, shout out to our sponsors, HP Murray over at Gopher Ridge Quail and Hatching Time. These guys have been helping the channel out for quite a while now. HP Murray donates some hatching eggs to give away, and he also donates eggs for projects and videos and stuff that I'm working on. Hatching Time, everybody knows they are amazing. They give us a $50 gift certificate to give away to you guys, and they always help me out with stuff like sending incubators out to test and review them, stuff like that. So I really appreciate both of them companies. If it wasn't for them, I don't know how well the channel would be doing. So HP and Hatching Time, thank you very much. Let's see. Everything around here, guys, is finally starting to get back to normal as far as quail are concerned. It's like I've been going crazy. I mean, I got the aviary out there. I know, I don't have a lot of quail, but I've had chicks hatching out the past week, eggs being set in incubators. I've got 5 incubators going right now. 3 of them are for a test, and the other 2 are personal projects of mine that I'm working on. I did have some chicks hatch out. They were actually from Leah Koulis over at Southern Biophiliac. Appreciate that, Leah. Got a pretty decent hatch rate. Not as many pansies as I would have wanted, but I got a few, so appreciate that. Thanks for dropping them off, and much appreciated. Let's see what else to do. And then I got Maury Straubel, West Michigan Quail. He sent me a box of eggs, so those went in the incubator yesterday. And a buddy of mine locally brought me over an 18-pack of giant Brahma chicken eggs. He called them giants. I think they're just Brahma chickens. But so those went into. Hey, Klaus, glad you could join us, buddy. Glad you stopped in. So the Brahmas went in the incubator yesterday also. So in 21 days, we ought to have quite a few things hatching. The incubator comparison hatch, that's the one that I'm doing as a follow-up to the 3 incubators comparison that we did. They go into lockdown Monday, so I'm hoping by the end of the week to have footage and stuff available from that to where I go ahead and put that new video up. We just locked them down yesterday, I believe it was. Okay, Coturnix Kids Project. My judges just sent me the new the winner for the month of April, so we will be announcing that on. I might do it this Tuesday. We are going live this Tuesday. I have a guest coming on. I'll tell you about that in a second. But what the Coturnix Kids Project is it's a little program we put together for the kids that if they write up an article on something that they've done to help somebody else other than themselves, whether it's doing chores around the house or helping the neighbors, mowing the grass, whatever. They write that up, and then our judges read through them every month and select a winner, and they get a bunch of really neat prizes from the sponsors you see there on screen. They get a bag of feed from Wholesome Harvest, Southern Biophiliac and Big Spring Quail supply hatching eggs. Bryant's Roost supplies them with an incubator, and Pips and Chicks and Champions Blend send out a gift certificate from Tractor Supply to help get them started. And then, of course, Hatching Time ships a 2-unit layer cage that the kids get to put together and, kind of have something to start off their little quail journey in. So if you're interested in having your kids sign up for that, you can check it out over at coturnixcorner.com. You will have to sign up for the site, but once you're in, there's a link right at the top of the page that says Coturnix Kids Program. Click on that, and you can read up on all the stuff that kind of the requirements or whatnot, to get into it. So Yeah, get your kids in it because we really appreciate it. And I know every week I love reading the the stories that come in. That's pretty interesting. And then, like I say, our judges once a month will go through and they'll select a winner. All right, let's see. We are going to be doing some giveaways today. We got a 30 count of hatching eggs coming from Gopher Ridge Quail Farm, and also a $50 gift certificate. So if you guys would, if you'd be interested in receiving either of those, comment over in the chat room, either Gopher Ridge or Hatching Time, and later on the show we'll select one or select a couple winners for that. And I think that's about it for me. So let's go ahead and jump over into the chat room, see who all's joining us today. Mark from La Rochelle Farm says, Terry, I'll be down in Fort Myers in a couple of weeks. Where's the best place for seafood? Probably the Gulf of Mexico, Mark. Now, there's quite a few restaurants down on Fort Myers Beach. It's got really good seafood. Same with Sanibel. I'll see if I can't get some names for you and email that over to you. But yeah, if you want something fresh, get down there, by Fort Myers Beach, because they got the fish house right there, and that's where most of the restaurants get their seafood from. Vaughn Taylor's in the house. Good morning, Terry, and good morning to everyone. My surgery went well. That's good to hear, and I'm really healed from it. It's my birthday. Happy birthday. Glad you could at least check in. She says, so I won't be joining through the morning musings. I'm glad your surgery went well. And again, happy birthday. And thanks for checking in anyhow. Spawn says, I hope everyone has a good day. And you too. All Clean Exteriors says, good morning from Michigan. Glad you could join us. Robert's in the house says, good morning from Minnesota. Glad you could join us, Robert. Dragon Girl says, good morning. Wood Takes in the house says, good morning, everyone. Ivan, I got to tell you guys a real quick story. It's not really a story, but something happened to me day before yesterday. I was out working the bees, and I don't know why this just popped into my head, but I know I wanted to mention it. What I do is I breed a lot of queen bees, and the queens have to go out on their mating flight. And then once they mate, they come back to the hive that they flew out of. Well, I was out working the bees the other day, and one of the queens landed on a landing board of a hive that already had a queen. And now, had she gone into that hive, the other queen would have killed her. It would probably everybody or all the worker bees would have killed her in there, or the guard bees. But anyhow, I just happened to notice her out of the corner of my eye. I looked over there, and I'm like, that looks like a queen. So I got a little bit closer, and sure enough, it was. So I caught her, brought her in the house, and put her in a queen cage, and then ended up sticking her in another one of my hives that was queenless. And I released her yesterday, but they accepted her. But it was really strange that had I not been out there, working the bees and just happened to glance over at that landing board, I would have missed that queen, and most likely she would have ended up going by the wayside. But no, I thought that was a pretty neat thing to happen. So let's see. Ivan says, good morning from Sacramento, California. Glad you could join us, Ivan. There's Andy Rabbit says, good morning. Morning, Andy. Glad you could join us. Maury Straubel's in the house, says, good morning, everyone, from West Michigan Quail. Maury, your eggs went into the incubator yesterday, and hopefully in about, 16, 17 days, we'll have a bunch of little chicks running around. See, Bill Thompson's in the house, says, good morning from Chile, Pennsylvania. It is nice here. I know it's already spring. I mean, my wife told me the other day, hey, it's first day of spring. And I really don't notice it down here, but all you poor people up north that are in the freezing snow, so much for spring, right? Brian says, good morning from Central Michigan. Good morning, Brian. Glad you could join us. 340 Quail Farms in the house. Good morning, Terry and everyone. Glad you could join us. There's Don, says, good morning from South Mississippi. Beautiful day. 50 degrees this morning, warming up to 76 this afternoon. Nice. That's the kind of temperatures people want to see. Dan says good morning from Fremont, Wisconsin. Morning, Dan. Nice little, is that a Californian on your thumbnail there? Dave's in the house says good morning, everyone. Morning, Dave. There she is. There's Leah from Southern Biophiliac says good morning. Good morning, Leah. Got a lot of really neat looking EB chicks that hatched out, so I'm very happy there. I think I got like 4, maybe 5 of the pansies to hatch, but that's good enough to get me started anyhow. So thanks again, Leah. I appreciate it. Brian says happy birthday to Fawn Taylor. Absolutely. SPC Snacks says morning from Tampa. Seems I recognize that little thumbnail. Rebecca Anderson says good morning from Australia. Cool. Glad you could join us, Rebecca. I love it when we get people in from across the pond. If you guys would hit that thumbs up. I see we got a few. I'm going to refresh this computer over here. Yeah, we got a few people hitting it. I hear you, Klaus. Let's see. Marie says good morning from Southeast Louisiana. Morning, Marie. Bill says, yikes, 17 here this morning. Yeah, that's a little crazy for springtime, anyhow. Jessica says, good morning from Missouri. Debbie says, good morning from Texas. Good morning, Debbie. Glad you could join us. Costello Hobby Farm says, good morning from Alabama. Sweet home, Alabama. Glad you could join us. You want out, Cookie? Cookie's got to go take care of her babies. You should see those babies, guys. They're getting so big. They got their eyes open and their ears are all perked up, and it's neat when you walk in there and they look up at you, you know, like they actually know you're there. Andy Rabbit says the beginning makes me miss some of the OGs of the quail world. Yeah. I don't know how to answer that one. Yeah, there's, you know, it's funny because, you know, a lot of people that used to be into quail, and I considered them old timers, a lot of them, you know, dropped by the wayside. I kind of miss seeing them in the group. Klaus Marshall's one of them. I mean, you hardly see him anymore, but he's checking in today, which is great. I saw your new chicken eggs there, Klaus. Good luck on that hatch. And I just set those, what are they called? Brahmas. So I'm really interested to see what those produce. Rebecca says, did your dog have her puppies? She did. And they are about 3 weeks old yesterday, I think. She had 3. She had 2 boys and a girl, and the girl's red. She had a cream colored male, a black and white male, and then a red female. And we're kind of toying with the idea of keeping the red one, but I don't know. I don't need another dog. Just, I don't know. Klaus says, hello, old friend. Just stopped by to say hello. Well, I'm glad you did, Klaus. Appreciate it. Kurt says, good morning from Michigan. Good morning, Kurt. Glad you could join us. Sia Deacom says, good morning from North Carolina. Sorry if I butchered your name there. Cam says, wow. Glad you could join us, Cam. George says, just starting my quail journey. Cool. You will, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's pretty much an addictive hobby once you get into quail. It's like start with a couple and end up with 50 and then 100, and it just keeps growing. Andy Rabbit says, hello to Klaus. Jackie says, good morning from windy Oklahoma. Glad you could join us, Jackie. CF Deacom says, question for you. We are starting our quail journey. I have 15 chickens that are 3 weeks old today. One with spraddle leg. I'm having a hard time with culling. Okay, well, what's your question? Okay. Yeah, I would definitely, I mean, I cull anything that doesn't, it's not perfectly healthy right out of the egg. It's just a practice that I've done since day one. I know some people try to fix it, by making a pair of boots for them with a rubber band in between the legs or putting them in a shot glass. I don't do that. It's just, mainly because I had, quite a few birds. It was just too hard to deal with just one. So, but yeah, I didn't get your question. So if you want to repost your question, go ahead. David says, morning from Virginia. Morning, David. Glad you could join us. CF Deacon says, hey, just started our quail journey here in North Carolina. Love your videos. Very helpful. Cool. Glad you're enjoying them. And welcome to your new quail journey. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Stella Hobby Farms is hatching out. Okay, we got quite a few people saying go for age and hatching time. Allie says, good morning, everyone, except you, Klaus. It's not morning over where Klaus is. I'm sure that's what she meant by that. That's funny. WRW says, want to thank Maurice Drabble for getting me started loving our quail. Cool. CF Deacon says, have our first 15 quail chicks hitting 3 weeks old today. Good deal. Cam says, not sure if I missed it or not. Did you do the processing video? No, actually, you didn't miss it. I was going to do it last weekend, and I kind of got tied up working the bees, and I'll try to get out there this week and get them butchered. And I have to anyhow because I've got so many chicks hatching out. I've got to go through and cull out a bunch of these roosters that are they're growing up and they're starting to, mate with the hens. And I think I've got, I don't know, like 16, 17 hens and maybe half a dozen roosters out there. So I do have to do some butchering. So yeah, I will get on it. It's going to be this week, I promise. Klaus says, talking to confetti quail classes, Klaus has already afternoon. So you're all kind of late. And the Reb says, Terry, do you mean a 2-cage setup, not a 2-tier double stack for the kids program? No, it's a 2-unit, 2 cages side by side. Not a. I used to show a picture of it, but no, it's not a double stack or anything. Debbie Hinkle says, my Gopher Ridge German sparked eggs just hatched 2 days ago. Great hatch rate. Very cool. Congratulations. Peter says, if the eggs are not turning for the first 7 days, but then corrected, will that affect the hatch rate? I don't think so. Especially early on, the first 7 days, there is development, but it's not the bulk of the development. So I actually did a video where I did a test hatch side-by-side comparison, turning the eggs and not turning the eggs. And believe it or not, I got about, I think it was like a 50 to 55% hatch rate. They were shipped eggs out of both of them. So, I think you can still get a decent hatch rate if you don't turn, but I do recommend turning. I even say that in the video. I think it's going to help you out quite a bit, as far as not having issues with chicks sticking to the side of the egg and whatnot. So, but as far as the first 7 days, no, just go ahead and put your turner in or plug it in or whatever, and you should be fine. All Things EDC says, good morning from Tennessee. Glad you could join us. Reported Quail Farms, this question, with the DIY incubator build, do you cut a slot for the egg turner power cable? Yes, I do. On the right side panel, the right side, not the door, but the side panel, down towards the bottom, there's a little notch pre-cut out. Now, when you hang your wood strip over that, your trim strip over it, you're going to have to cut that out. Just take like a small saw and cut that little notch in the wood, but it is cut out in the foam, so you don't have to do that part of it. But yes, it is. And the only reason I didn't cut the wood is because if somebody, all the wood pieces for the side are the same length and the door are the same length. if I had one that was a little bit short and they accidentally put it on the other side, it could kind of confuse them. So I just made everything the same length. And some people don't want to have the cord run out the door. They want to make a hole somewhere else or whatever. But no, that was the easiest way for me to do that. And yes, there is a notch cut for it. Marie says, go for Ridge. Please would like to add some new blood. Thank you. Okay. Glad you could join us, Marie. Butterfly Me Away says, morning from super springy Charleston, South Carolina. Nice. It's nice to hear spring's on its way up north. Reed says, good morning from Milagro, New Mexico. Glad you could join us. We're nearly done with our frost and getting ready to order some birds. Very cool. Thanks for joining us this morning, Reed. Buddy Acres Homestead says, good morning from New York. Glad you could join us. WRW says, new here. Good morning, everyone from Southwest Michigan. We are glad you could join us, and good luck with the with your hatch if you got some eggs from Maury. Brian says, picked up some buttons at the auction yesterday for the wife. Cute little buggers. Yeah, I've never dealt with the buttons. I know quite a few people that have, but I'm sure you'll enjoy them. Klaus says, should Terry finally start a podcast? What do you guys think? Also, how is it going at your little zoo? What mutations are you keeping now? All I've got right now, Klaus, is a bucket full of EB that I got from Leah Kulis over at Southern Biophiliac. And then I got my Egyptians out in the aviary. And it's probably all I'm going to do. Oh, no, I'm sorry. And I also got some red pansies that also came from Southern Biophiliac. Joe says, first time, McDonough, Georgia. Glad you could join us. Joe. Robert says, Siri, good morning from Kaufman, Texas. Okay. Did Siri hear you? Vaughn says, I'm listening to you. I've got the TV turned up loud so I can hear everybody say thank you for the birthday wishes, everybody. Absolutely. I'm glad you could stick around and, listen in anyhow. Fatty Quail says, Southern Biophiliac, I need to snatch up some of your call duck babies. I don't know what those are, but I'm sure Leah does. You're getting into all kinds of new stuff, huh, Allie? I can't wait till you get back into quail. Costello Hobby Farm says, I'm in North Alabama and still getting cold at night. What's a good temperature to put new birds outside and out of the brooder box? As long as they are fully feathered out, right around the 4-week mark, you can put them outside. They'll do fine. If you're worried about it at night, if you want to supply maybe a heat lamp or something out there. But to be honest with you, as long as they're fully feathered out, they're going to do fine. I mean, I put mine outside at 3 weeks and never have a problem with it. Klaus says, Brahmas, you can wrestle with those. Yeah, so I've heard. But I've also heard that they're very docile and they don't mind being handled. I just, my buddy of mine's got them, and he comes by here probably every other week or so to get, either hatching eggs or chicks that I called out. He buys that from me. So he started telling me about them. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know what it was. He was asking me what happened with the Rhode Island Reds. And I told him, he said, well, I can give you some Brahmas to hatch out. So I thought I'd give it a shot. Goat Ridge says, I have Brahma hatching this week as we speak. Cool. Brian says, good morning from Alabama. Do you need to turn the temp down on the incubator on hatch day? Go for Ridge. I don't. I know some people do. They'll drop their temperature like down to 95.2 or not 95, 99.2 or just 99 straight. I leave mine at 99.5, and I've always had decent hatch rates doing that way. Linden Lady says, thank you for posting how to build the rollout cage videos. I've built 3 so far. Very cool. And you're welcome. Necro Kitty's in the house says, oh, hey, a morning musings in the morning. That's why I said in the description, I wrote, I'm finally here on time. See, George Oaks says, my daughter and I have been watching your beginner series. It's very helpful. Thanks for doing them. Absolutely. Glad they are helpful. Gopher Ridge says, what about Klaus and Allie podcast? That's a good idea. Just asking. I think that's a really good idea. I actually tried doing a podcast last year, a year before. I did like 4 of them or so, and just, I don't know. I got so much on my plate. It's hard to keep things going all the time. So I know Klaus has been on me for a while to do it. Necro Kitty says, hit the like button. Absolutely. Southern Affiliates talking to Allie says, I can send you some call ducks. Cool. Fatty Quail says, go for it. We argue the entire time. That might be bring an interesting entertainment element, though. I'd watch it. I think that would be really interesting. Muddy Acres Homestead says, I'm building my quail hutch today. I'm excited to get started up again. Cool. Have fun on the build and good luck. Marie says, question, in an aviary pen, what plants can I put in there for them, and what would be a good size for possible 30 quail, and anything to use to hide in, for them to use to hide in? Thank you. I mean, mine is, what is it, 12 by 10? And I can put easily 50 or more in there. So if you had like an 8 by 8, that would be fine. As far as plants, I tried the whole plant thing and it didn't really work out because the quail just kept destroying them. If you want to kind of dress it up a little bit, to have maybe some artificial plants, in the fake pots and stuff, that might work. I can't recommend a plant because I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about plants, so I don't know which ones would hurt your quail or not. So I don't want to recommend anything there. But yeah, as far as size, I would say an 8 by 10 or 8 by 8 would be plenty for 30. So yeah, good luck with that. Klaus says, Klaus and Allie podcast would be in a matter of hours turned into Who Murdered Who. That's funny. Costello Hobby Farms has been watching March Madness and my quail in the brooder box all weekend. Anyone have a perfect bracket still? Perfect bracket. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry about that. I'm not up on all the latest terms, I guess you could say. At Linden Lady, I also used Terry's great video on cage building, but mine grew in the designing stage to 4 2-foot by 4-foot levels. Nice. Yeah, and that's what, pretty much everything on the channel, especially like the incubator builds and stuff, those are meant to be modified to work for you, so yeah, that's good. Change them up. Viking Chick says, good morning. Just put eggs in the incubator last night. Excited to see what happens. Cool. Good luck on the hatch. I just got a text from somebody. Bracket for the basketball tournament? Now I'm really lost. Okay, you guys lost me with all this bracket talk. Backyard Quail Keeper says, question. Hi, Terry. I have Lumia 8, but lately it doesn't seem to be holding the right temperature, keeps going down. Any ideas what could help? I don't remember the combination. I think in the manual there is a reset that you can reset it back to factory. You'll have to look it up. But if that doesn't do it, you might have a failing heating element. They do use it's basically a resistive wire element in that. You may have to replace that or get a hold of whoever you got the incubator from. I know that Baratos have a really good, warranty on their incubators. So if it doesn't help after resetting it, yeah, I would definitely send it in and have them replace that heating element for you. Nico kidding. My cheap eBay quail are a month old now. I ordered jumbos. I suspect only a third are jumbo. They aren't all the same color, and only one is feather sexable unless I have 25 females and one male. I know how that goes. I've never done an eBay order, but I do know a few people that do sell on eBay, and one that actually sells on Amazon. And Rabbit says a Klaus and Alley podcast would be very interesting to watch. I think it would too. We got to set that up, you guys. Okay, gotcha, Maury. Even though I don't know what it is. Negro Kitty says, I guess I got what I paid for. Yeah, pretty much. Costello Hobby Farm says, do you recommend putting leg bands on any of your quail, or is it not good practice? Yeah, I have, I want to say they're 6 millimeter leg bands that I use. I actually have two. I have 6 and 8s. I use the 6 on the younger birds and the 8s on the jumbos, the adults. But yeah, if you've got enough birds to where you need, some way of, identifying them, whether it's, from what hatch or what breeder they came from, whatever, you want to band them for so you can keep track of them. Yeah, a lot of people use those little 4-inch colored zip ties. They work really well. I used them for a couple years, and yeah, it just helps, especially if you have, birds like that are, only not or are non-feather sexable. You can band your males. That way you can, easily find the male by looking in the cage for the band. So, but yeah, it's a pretty common practice. Fred says, good morning from North Carolina. Interested in eggs. Okay. GIS Herps in the house. Good morning. Woodtick says, I just had a chick hatch for my own eggs. Cool. Congratulations. Fred says, I could not locate your DIY air filter. Where is it? Go to the YouTube channel, click on videos at the top. There's a search bar. Just type in air filter, and there's a couple of them that'll come up. Woodtick says, hatch day has begun. Cool. Yeah, it's always exciting when they start hatching out. Joe Music says, good morning, everyone. Spring is in the air in Michigan. Nice. Andy Rabb says, hello, Allie. Okay, I'm going to skip the ones that aren't talking to us. I'm specifically talking to somebody else. Lyndon Lady says, I've been using millet, barley, and whole oats. They sprout easily, and they eat the seeds and sprouts, and some still make it to full size. There you go. Good idea. Longevity spinach. There's another one I haven't heard of. Dave says, so what is your new bird count goal, Terry? I'm not keeping very many. I want maybe, under 50 quail. And then as far as the chickens go, when they hatch out, I don't know how many of those I'll keep, maybe half a dozen at the most. Yeah, I've always had chickens, so I thought it would be cool to, get some regular size eggs again. Although I heard those Brahmas don't start laying for like 8 months, so that's kind of suck. But what can you do? Cam says all the stalks and cuttings will regrow another plant, roots and leaves. There you go. Andy Rabbit says, I go into lockdown Tuesday. Cool. Congratulations. I got 3 incubators going into lockdown Monday. Kind of excited to. I'm learning a lot about these 3 incubators, guys. It's really cool when you do a side-by-side comparison of 3 different cabinet incubators, because not one of them runs the same as the one next to them. They've all got their little idiosyncrasies going on. And I mean, they work, and they're darn good incubators, but they're all a little bit different than the ones that I'm comparing them to. Backyard Quail Keeper says, the heating element, didn't think of that. Thanks, Terry. I lost a few chicks, and some had neck pearl with problems. Yeah, that would be, I mean, if it's a heat issue, and especially cooling, that's telling me that something is not staying hot all the time, which a resistive heating element has to get up to temperature. So it's probably just that element's going bad. And it should be an easy fix. They might just send you the element and say, here, fix it yourself. Butterfly Me Away says, gave my 2-week-old babies their first sand bath in a pickle jar last night. They're in heaven. Yep. Question, do you recommend diatomaceous earth added in the sand? I've never I've never done it. I have heard of some people that will put it in there. If you do use it, make sure it's food grade. You know, I mean, I really don't see any need for it, is the reason. You know, I mean, unless you got an issue with like mites or something. But yeah, if you're going to do it, use a food grade diatomaceous earth. Backyard Quail Keepers, thanks, Terry. Absolutely. Costello Hobby Farms says, do you have your incubator back in stock? That is happening Monday. Believe it or not, guys, my shopping cart on the website crashed. And I spent 2 days on the phone with my web host trying to get it straightened out. And we thought we had it working at one time, but as soon as I got out the phone, tried to put in a test order, and same thing happened again. So what I did was I actually uninstalled the shopping cart and reinstalled a new one, the same one, but a new one. And the problem is the new one that I installed is an upgraded version from the old one. So I cannot import any of my data out of the old one into the new one. So I've got to go in and do it all by hand. That's going to happen tonight and first part of tomorrow. So yes, they will be back online tomorrow. Andy Rabbit says it's 53 degrees here this morning. Nice. Redneck Aquatic says only 38. Like, smash. Oh, smash the like button. Nice. Absolutely. Bill says, question, all my current birds have ever had is crumble food. If I give them soldier fly larvae, do they need grit? Yeah, you should actually, even though you're feeding crumbles, you should supply grit for them. Lord, if I can remember his name again, Jeff Maddox. He's a poultry nutritionist. That was his recommendation, that they should have grit available all the time. I never did. When I always thought that if you were feeding crumbles, they didn't need grit because it's water soluble food. But Jeff, who I highly respect and trust his what he says they should have grit all the time available to them. So yes. See, Muddy Acres Homestead says 18 degrees here. Thank you. Muddy Acres Homestead says, I'm trying to think of a way to keep my birds outside all winter. It gets very cold. Well, I know people up in northern Canada and Alaska that keep their birds out all year long, and they do just fine into the negatives. And as long as they can get out of the wind and the weather, the rain or snow or whatever, they should be able to handle it just fine. See, everybody's hatching time, go for Ridge. Ryan says, receive 30 Celadon eggs with 8 broken. How would you manage this? Trust the sender box was not in great shape on arrival. Thanks. Just contact the shipper, let them know, hey, 8 of them broke in transit. Most people are pretty good about replacing orders or giving you some type of a credit if that happens. Unfortunately, lately, UPS or USPS has been terrible when it comes to shipping. I'm seeing it in the quail world, in the bee world, um, even shipments that I'm sending out. I shipped out. This is going on 3 weeks ago. An incubator going from Florida to Indianapolis, and it was going to a PO box. And the guy called. He didn't call. Yeah, he did call me. Called me a couple days ago and said he wanted to know where his incubator was. And I said, "Did you track it?" He said, "I never got the tracking number." So I went online. I tracked it for him, and it was in Indianapolis, but sitting in the warehouse. So I told him, give it a few more days. If you don't get it, just let me know, and I'll file a claim with USPS. But yeah, it's really hard to when you have issues like that with hatching eggs, because like I say, it's like USPS doesn't care anymore. I don't know what's going on with them, but yeah, contact the shipper and see what they say, see what they work out with you. Alan says 28 here. It's warming up. Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. Viking Chick says, out of curiosity, have you or anyone ever hatched out any babies from the grocery store quail eggs? I had a miracle baby hatch out. Yes. Matter of fact, one of the, I can't remember who, they commented over in Coturnix Corner that they did a test hatch out of some grocery store eggs. And I don't know the number they got, but they said that they did have eggs hatched. They were very surprised. So yeah, obviously, the stores are getting eggs from people who have roosters in with their hens, and they're selling them fertile eggs. Viking Chick says she did an experiment. Yep. Susan says, I keep mine in a hoop building with lots of open air. Yep. Nice. That's a nice setup. Salvador's in the house. Says, hey, Terry, hatched 66 out of 80 quail eggs. You can't complain about that at all. Andy Rabbit says, I have a quail, an egg frozen to her chest once and didn't lose a quail. They can stand the cold, just block the wind. I agree. Marine says, which kind of sand do I use for quail? Just getting started. When I was buying sand, a lot of times I would just go down to our local beach and, fill up a couple 5-gallon buckets with it. But if I needed to purchase sand, I would just go to Home Depot and buy playground sand. They have, I think it was like a 40-pound bag of playground sand, and never had a problem with it. Costello Hobby Farms is trying to get my oldest daughter to enter the kids program you have. She does a lot with our animals, and I'm proud of her. Absolutely. Get her in there. And like I say, it doesn't matter when they enter. You only need to enter once. We have entries that are in there, I think, that date back 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, get them in there. And like I say, we've got 4 judges over in the Coturnix Corner community, and every month they select a winner, and it's really neat, to see the videos and the pictures that come in after the kids have received their prizes. I always get pictures of them building their cage or videos of their chicks hatching out or whatever, and it's really cool to see that. Butterfly Me Away says, question, how often do you recommend changing out the sand? If they're, a lot of times they won't poop in the sand. I mean, I've had tubs of sand. I can't say exactly how long, maybe a couple months in there, and it never got dirty. I know that Chris over at Slightly Redneck, he's got his setup where half his cage is wire floor, the other half is a sandbox, and he says all his birds lay their eggs in the sandbox, and he says, once a month he goes through with like a little cat pooper scooper and scoops out any manure that might be in the sand, and he just keeps reusing it until till they kick enough of the sand out that he's got to replace it. So Susan says, can 2-week-old quail go on 1/2 by 1 inch bottom wire? Yeah. What I would do, Susan, don't put them directly on the wire first. Take some either shop towels or paper towel and put it down to where they can walk on it they'll walk on the paper towels first. That will get their feet used to walking on the wire. And then after, a few days of that, go ahead and pull the paper towel out, and they should be fine on the wire. Mine, yeah, at 2 weeks, they were easily out of the brooder on wire. So Nadia21 says, Nadia. Hope I didn't butcher that. Hello, new quail owner here. Is there a bedding that's not good to use with quail, like certain hay grasses? We have some straw in their sandbox, and they seem to love it all. I wouldn't use like a cedar or what else? The other one, those really aromatic shavings. I wouldn't use anything like that. Like a pine shaving is good. That's what I use in my brooder. But as far as different hay and grasses, I'm not sure. But I would think that straw or hay would be fine for them. But I know you don't want to use like cedar or anything like that. Andy Rabbit says, my dad met a guy at a gas station once, and he was told they ain't going to have any cage without a rooster, because if they need hatching eggs from that group, they've got them. Absolutely. It's a good way to do it. To sell for eating, it doesn't matter what change the egg comes from. Yeah, no, I agree. And if I was doing the same thing, I don't think I've ever separated my hens from my roosters, with exception of when I was doing when I was rotating roosters from different cages. I would have, several different cages of nothing but hens, and I would rotate a rooster out, every day or every other day, just to use him for breeding. And that way one rooster got to service, 5 or 6 cages. And that worked out really well for me. Costello Hobby Farms says, if I put my quail in an aviary, do you recommend sand or shavings? Once they get rid of the grass, it's just dirt. What I did in mine, now I don't know your setup, but originally I built my aviary on a concrete slab, and it was only like 1.5 inches. Well, it was on 2x4s, so it was 1.5 inches deep. What I ended up doing after the first year, and after talking with Katie Galley over in Australia, she uses a deep litter method. So what I did was I picked up the aviary and I put 8 by 16-inch cinder blocks in there, and around the outside frame, set the aviary back on it, and I filled the inside of the aviary with about 8 or 9 inches of old compost that I get from a local park. And the nice thing about that is you only got to go in and turn it maybe once a month, and I would completely change it out about every 6 to 8 months. I would, rake the stuff out. But the nice thing is the stuff that you pull out can go directly into a garden and be used as compost for your garden. So right now I'm using pine shavings, because I don't have the deep litter method set up because I moved my aviary. I'm using pine shavings, and it's about maybe 1 inch thick. The nice thing about the pine shavings is it dries the manure out really fast, and it doesn't smell. But we're coming up on rainy season here in a couple months, so I'm going to have to go back to my deep litter method in order to avoid the wet pine shavings and the smell. And Rabbit says, are the blue shop towels compostable? I don't know. To be honest with you. Danny says, I'm interested in raising quail. The supplier in my area is NPIP certified. The birds are raised in a biosecure environment. Do you think it would be okay to purchase live birds from them? Absolutely. I mean, if they have a biosecurity program set up and they're NPIP certified, yes, that would be somebody that I would actually recommend that you purchase them from, versus going to like a shop meet or something, a swap meet or whatever, or farm store. Oh, I can never say this name. James. I know Trader Joe has fertilized on some of their chicken and quail egg boxes. Cool. Well, there's a spot for you to buy your eggs from. And being refrigerated doesn't seem to be an issue. I've done it. I mean, I usually store my eggs in a little dorm refrigerator with the temperature turned all the way up, so it's at its warmest. And Maury from West Michigan Quail, he does the same thing, stores all his eggs in a refrigerator, and I guess he gets decent hatch rates out of them. So refrigeration isn't all that bad. Captain Leica. Hey man, I've been watching you for a while. I finally committed to hatching out some eggs. Cool. I got 13 quail eggs out of a batch of 15, 13 quail out of a batch of 15 eggs. Thank you so much. Wow, congratulations. That's an excellent hatch rate. And you are welcome. I don't know that I did anything for you, but appreciate it. Leviathan, I can never say that. Blue shop towels are not compostable because they have plastic in them. Wow, I never knew that. That's weird because a lot of beekeepers use blue shop towels to do acetic acid. It's a slow release method of acetic acid, and the bees actually eat the shop towels and carry it through the hive and dump it on the outside. But I wouldn't think that would be very good for your bees. All right, guys, we are at the end of our list. It is going on 10 o'clock, so I am going to select a couple winners for the giveaway. First, I'm going to put my email in there. I swear my hands are, what do they call that when you, I'm trying to type one thing, but I type something else. Can't think of the word. Anyhow. Okay. For those of you who I call your names, make sure that you email me your shipping address or your shipping information. I need a good name. If your name isn't, if your YouTube handle isn't your name, make sure you tell me what your name is. And also, I need a good phone number and a good email address. A lot of people forget the phone numbers, and I've got to get it back. Yeah, I blame it on autocorrect. Yep, I hear you. Anyhow, butterfly me away. You are getting some hatching eggs from HP Murray. So congratulations on that. And where did my, oh darn, I just had it. Alan Kirsten. You're getting a $50 gift certificate from Hatching Time. So again, my email's in there. I'm going to put it up on the screen here real quick. There's my email. Send me all your shipping information. Good name, good address, good phone number, and a good email. If the email you send me isn't the same email that you want your tracking information to come to or your gift certificate to come to, make sure you give me a good email. All right, got a couple more comments, and then we're going to pull the plug, and I got to get out in the shop and get some work done today. Mark says, good morning. What's the problem with cedar? Have babies. I've cedar for years. People keep telling me it's poisonous or toxic, but I've never had any problem with it. I don't know. I don't know anything about the composition of cedar or what's in it that could be a problem, but I've heard from a lot of people and experienced breeders not to use cedar. So if you're using it and it's working for you, fine. I wasn't going to test it out and see if it was going to be good enough for my birds. Nadia says, thanks. Also, it's normal that they don't want to go in their closed off sandbox area at night. They just sit out there in the wire part. Yeah, well, quail will be quail. Let them do what they want to do. All right, we got a whole bunch of people saying congrats to the winners. Mark says, what's the problem with? I'm talking about the cedar. Like I said, Mark, I don't know. I just know that a lot of people advise against it. Danny says, congrats to the winner. All right. Well, guys, I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm glad we were finally able to do a morning musings in the morning. And, I almost forgot, guys. Join us Tuesday. HP Murray from Gopher Ridge Quail is coming on, and we're going to be talking about keeping game birds, all different types of game birds, and, of course, Coturnix. HP's been doing this for a long time, and he knows what he's doing. So, yeah, join us Tuesday. That'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the channel. And it ought to be a really interesting live stream. Danny says, does anyone have any recommendations on aviaries for those of us who live in the city? I live in the city and I have an aviary. There is a video, Danny, on the Coturnix Corner YouTube channel, basically showing how I built it and whatnot. But yeah, like I say, I'm kind of in the city. I'm not in the country, that's for sure. And he says cedar puts off toxins that can hurt breathing and respiratory. There you go. That's kind of what I've been told too. And he says, Danny, make it cute looking. All right, guys. I appreciate everyone joining me today. And again, join us Tuesday. It's going to be a really good live stream. HP is the king of quail. So we'll see you then, guys. Have a good weekend.